Hey, fellow nerds, this is Chris Bolts coming in with a video reaction to a death battle that many of us have been anticipating if you are a fan of Vampire Slayers. Blade versus Buffy. Now, before I do get into the content, please do make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. Now, we don't need any kind of introduction to Blade. We know who Blade is. We saw the 90s movies, and the Blade is still one of the best comic book movies ever made. It is the one that, in my view, actually really revitalized the comic book movie genre and helped launch the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes, you heard that right. I give the credit to Blade more than I give Iron Man, although Iron Man is a good movie in its own right. But most of us, Gen Xers, when we saw Blade, the very opening scene of Blade where that kid walks into that nightclub with that woman, and then all kinds of strange shit starts to happen, and you hear that beat from Voodoo and Serrano, Blood is Pumping, the remix, and then you see Blade just standing right among all of them, getting ready to kick ass and take names. That is still one of the best introductions to a movie, period, out of whether it's comic book or anything else. So we don't need an introduction to Blade. However, some of you guys may not be familiar with Buffy. Now, a lot of you guys like to run around and say, oh, you men, you just don't like strong, independent women who don't need no man or any kind of bullshit like that. Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. Buffy is one of the OGs, and we're not talking, and actually there's two versions of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There's the movie version Buffy that was played by Christy Swanson, and then there is the television version that was played by Sarah Michelle Gellar. And I'm pretty sure they're only going to use the one that was played by Sarah Michelle Gellar because that is the one that most people are familiar with. The movie is very campy, and I don't think people really even consider that movie to be part of the canon of Buffy. We pretty much only consider the Sarah Michelle Gellar to be her version, to be the only version of Buffy out there. They're getting ready to do a revival of the series, which I am not for, but once it comes out, I'll watch it. But I highly doubt it will live up to the greatness of the television show that came out in the 90s. 5 seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which then in turn led to a 5 seasons for her boyfriend Angel. And she was the original girl boss. And we're not talking about, oh, she had all these powers gifted to her and she just knew everything right off the bat. No, Buffy was a well-written character who had flaws, who had tribulations and troubles. She earned her powers. She was, in the beginning, she didn't even know she was a vampire slayer. It happened over time. She worked with her friends like Xander and Willow to help overcome a lot of the problems that were going on in, what was the name of that at the time? It wasn't Smallville. It was somethingville. But any of you hardcore Buffy fans, go ahead and get into the comments and let me know the name of the town. Smallville, obviously, is Clark Kent, Superman, all that. It'll come to me eventually. But yeah, she was a really great character. And I highly recommend you guys go back and watch that series, because you will be in for a treat. Joss Whedon was really on his game writing that particular series and directing it. But let's go ahead and get off into this video. If you guys are not familiar with Death Battle, they like to go ahead and go over the characters and then have a really quick battle at the end. I'm going to be jumping around here and there. If you guys don't want to hear any of my commentary, you obviously can go ahead and watch the video that I will link directly in the video description. Make sure you guys do go over there and give Death Battle a follow, because, man, this is a very popular channel. They have all kinds of nerd battles off in there. I mean, where else are you going to find a battle between Unicron and Galactus, or Hulk and Superman, or Hulk and Goku, or Miles Morales versus Deku from My Hero Academia, or even Wile E. Coyote versus Tom the Cat from Tom and Jerry? That was an interesting battle. My assertion, and I stand by it, is that Wile E. Coyote is one of the most overpowered characters known in the universe. But I digress on that. Let's go ahead and get into this video and let's start watching it.
Blade versus Buffy.
The Daywalker versus the Vampire Slayer.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would.
By the way, the character that they have playing Blade is Dance Fiction. He's a really cool cat. He does a lot of skits like this here. Make sure you go and give him a follow on Instagram, Dance Fiction, DANCEF1KSHUN. I don't know why these cats like to do these types of names, but that's his name. He can act, he can fight, he can dance. I think he won Dancing with the Stars. Not Dancing with the Stars, but So You Think You Can Dance. He probably could win Dancing with the Stars because he's that talented. Go ahead and give him a follow on Instagram. But let's go ahead and get back into this.
Win a death battle. They are known by many names: Revenant, Vortala, Nosferatu.
Vampires. When the moon is out and the night is young, these undead demons are out for blood.
Fitting then that the greatest foe of those who stalk the night is the one who can walk the day, Blade.
Is that really his costume?
Hang on.
Now there's a man who doesn't file his taxes. Blade is one of the coolest superheroes ever, and basically...
That's a meta joke because Wesley Snipes was convicted and jailed for not paying his taxes. That man's a hero to all of us who don't like taxation. But let's get back to it.
Kickstarted the comic book movie craze.
And yet, he is also seemingly the only one who knows or cares that in the world of Marvel, vampires exist. Seriously, nobody talks about this.
Blade doesn't need anyone's help. He'll just aura farm by himself.
Even Blade's birth was hardcore. Just as the young Eric Brooks' mother was in labor, her attending doctor turned out to be the vampire Deacon Frost.
And he drank her blood right before she gave birth.
This infused Eric with Frost's vampiric blood, turning him half human, half vampire. A Dampier.
Giving him a ton of vampy powers, but none of their weaknesses like garlic, holy water, or sunlight.
Eric would hone these abilities under the tutelage of vampire hunter Jamal Afari, sharpening him into a blade that would rape the...
By the way, I just want to say this for all the people in the back that really be wondering about all this stuff, why we don't have many black characters. Blade is one of the OG black characters that was created, and he's one of the coolest and one of the most revered and one of the most respected. And the reason why that is because Wesley Snipes played that character to such perfection that people fell in love with the character Blade. It's the same way that we did with Hugh Jackman with Wolverine. Most people didn't think Hugh Jackman would be Wolverine because Hugh Jackman is 6'2" and Wolverine is 5'3" in the comics. But nobody will sit there and say that there is no better Wolverine than Hugh Jackman. Same way with Christopher Reeve when it comes to Superman. Nobody will ever be able to come close to the way he portrayed that character. We like people who can portray these characters well. And that's Sarah Michelle Gellar with Buffy. We like people who can play these characters well. And Wesley Snipes really played Blade well. This is for all the people who will be talking about this representation bullshit in the back. Blade is the great representation that everybody has come to respect and revere and love. Let's get back to this.
Vampire plague for good.
Blade is strong and fast enough to toss around 1,000-pound demons and cut bullets out of the air. He can keep up with Wolverine, who can deflect Cyclops' light-speed optic blasts. And his Kevlar DuPont armor helped him take the top of Count Von Stott's castle exploding.
He can heal small wounds immediately and sniff out the supernatural with his hypersenses. Also, his fangs can drain his victims of magical energies.
After studying the ways of Hong Kong Kung Fu movies,
by the way, it is a massive disappointment that Disney Marvel still has not gotten us a Blade movie like they promised us all the way back in 2019. It's absurd. They can make a goddamn movie just based on what Death Battle is doing right here, but they won't. It's not. They don't want to do it because a strong black man who is straight is the equivalent of a white Christian conservative male in their view. They were really trying to come out with a Blade movie where he would be sidelined for his daughter and a whole bunch of women to talk about life lessons. Like, what the? And then Kevin Feige came out, well, we just don't want to put him in a leather suit where he's just killing vampires. No, you dumbass bitch. That's exactly what we want. We want Blade in a leather suit killing vampires. How hard is this shit? My goodness, let's get back to this.
Blade became a master martial artist. Ah, yes, the Rufus from Street Fighter School of Kung Fu.
While the only martial art he's been stated to know is Krav Maga, we know he's mastered more. So for the full scope of his martial arts ability, we'll examine the Blade movies as performed by Wesley Snipes.
By looking at Snipes' training and choreography, we know Blade uses Kung Fu, Capoeira, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Eskrima, kickboxing, Shotokan karate, and Hapkido. Add on Blade's knack for stealthy takedowns, and I guess you could call him Marvel's Batman.
Blade's training progressed smoothly until Afari was attacked and had his blood drained by Dracula. Seriously, Avengers, Dracula is real. Why aren't you doing anything about this? He's right there!
Forced to murk his surrogate dad, Blade would have to wage his war alone.
Nursing a wound within him that would never heal. A hole that could never be filled.
Not with that attitude. Blade took a page out of the Book of Boomstick and tried filling that hole with every kind of weapon imaginable. He's got so many, they're his apartment decorations.
Handguns, assault rifles, and explosives make up the brunt of his firepower. And he enjoys getting up close and personal with his dual acid-etched titanium katanas.
Speaking of glorious Nippon...
I mean, this right here, I know they're getting ready to make a video game. Bethesda's making a video game for Blade. I really wish they wouldn't. I wish Capcom would. This right here, all what we're hearing describes a Devil May Cry type game starring Blade. Who the fuck wouldn't want to play that game? Who wouldn't want to play a game with Blade with all of his abilities? Going in there, fucking shit up, killing vampires, killing werewolves, killing all kinds of creatures of the night, fighting the supernatural, and the end boss is not Dracula, but either Mephisto or Dormammu. Come the fuck on! Where is all this shit?
Steel, he's got a sword made out of adamantium.
Specifically, secondary adamantium, a variant of the metal that is mass producible.
It might not be quite as strong as Cap's shield, but it can cut right through heavy hitters like Ultron and the Hulk.
Naturally, Blade has even more swords. His Atlantean ones can slice through magical enchantments. The Word Sword can harm intangible demons, and the Justiciar can slay fallen angels.
Yeah, he's got some weird stuff he can pull out of his ass, like a Hellfire shotgun that burns your soul, or hypodermic needles filled with vampire blood. Seems kinda dumb to turn people into vampires, but it does make them more vulnerable to Blade's arsenal.
All that pales in comparison to the arch weapon of hell in Blade's possession, the breathing gun. It is a living firearm that hisses in the presence of demonic forces. Its sentient bullets chase its victims down. The wounds they cause cannot be healed. And if they get lodged in your body, they'll slowly devour you from the inside out. They can even hurt Hell Lords and even greater threats like the Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Blade took everything he had and fought his one-man war for almost 100 years.
He's battled hordes of vampires while skydiving, infiltrated the Pentagon, and even took on Spider-Men like Miles Morales, who could absorb the energy of a bomb that could destroy Harlem. Blade's even bested the Spirit of Vengeance, Zarathos.
And while he occasionally allied with teams like the Avengers, he prefers to work alone.
I probably would too if they only cared about me when I was helping them and not ridding the world of, vampires.
that, and Blade is scared of what he might do if he loses control, because he does have one classic vampire weakness: a thirst for blood. Blah.
Even more so after he had a daughter, Brielle, whom he avoided for fear of endangering her. If his bloodlust does overwhelm him, he will enter a berserker rage, skyrocketing his strength at the cost of his sanity.
Though it does make him even better at killing vamps. He's made a cottage industry out of whooping Dracula's ass.
Dracula is unsurprisingly powerful, capable of summoning a thunderstorm that covered all of Boston with a wave of his hand.
Drac apparently didn't hold a grudge though, since he eventually made Blade the sheriff of Vampirsk, a vampire nation in the ruins of Chernobyl.
Amazingly, Dracula has even given Blade some of his own blood, which allows him to shapeshift into multiple forms, like a wolf, a horde of bats, or a cloud of mist.
So he can force his way inside your body and blow you up from the inside out, Ant-Man style.
What is with you with the Ant-Man? Blade's hatred of vampires is only matched by his hatred of himself. However, when Brielle showed signs of vampiric powers, Blade finally found a reason to reconnect with his daughter, training her the same way Afari trained him a century prior.
By the way, his daughter came about during the whole all new, all different Marvel nonsense, where everybody had to have a girl off in there. Why couldn't they give Blade a son? That would have been an even better dynamic, is to give him a son and see how that happened. What would go with that? Since Blade's father basically abandoned him and attacked his mother and tried to kill her, basically born with his powers, how would he treat his own son? That would have been a better dynamic, but we got the daughter. I mean, look at that. She's got pink hair. Great. Oh my goodness.
Even after Blade was possessed by the first vampire ever and tried to take over the planet, Brielle put her dad's teachings to the test, saving both him and the world.
See? There you go. Look at that girl boss moment. Daughter beats up dad. Oh my God. We almost got that in Disney Marvel, and I'm glad Disney Marvel said, you know something? Maybe we shouldn't do that. No, you shouldn't.
Proving that Blade's lonely war need not be so lonely anymore. With his daughter at his side, and also this plant creature pet called Boy Thing, let Marvel's vampires beware. For should they indulge their unnatural urges, they will be sure to meet their end at the tip of his blade. Today's battle is sponsored by Prize Picks.
You know what's awesome? Being right.
Let's go ahead and skip
Especially when your
this.
co-host is always wrong.
Let's go right to Buffy.
Chosen one. She alone will stand against the vampires, the demons, and the forces of darkness. She is the Slayer.
For thousands of years, a new Slayer would be granted incredible powers and was destined to die young in battle against evil, passing their powers on to the next Slayer, and the next, and so on. That is, until the newest Slayer would change everything, Buffy Ann Summers.
Not exactly the first girl you'd think is the savior of humanity. Buffy's only goals in life were, in her own words, graduate from high school, go to Europe.
Oh, I didn't think they would show the Christy Swanson version, but there she is. This is the Christy Swanson version. Again, I don't know if they really consider that to be part of the canon. Some of you diehard Buffy fans can come in there and let me know, but I don't think she's part of the canon. I would try to put her into the canon, somehow fit her in after she got after the Sarah Michelle Gellar Buffy graduated high school and went on to become a waitress, but that's just in my imagination. That's my head canon. Let's get back to this.
Marry Christian Slater and die.
But that would all change when the Watcher Merrick appeared and revealed her destiny.
Like, total bummer.
Merrick trained Buffy in the arts of vampire slaying, and she became so efficient that she burned down her school. Whoops.
Forcing her and her mom to move to Sunnydale, California to start a new life.
There you go, Sunnydale. So okay. I guess they do consider it canon. If that all lines up, then yes, the Christy Swanson Buffy is still the same Buffy that Sarah Michelle Gellar plays. So that sounds about right to me. That sounds about right to me. And the city is Sunnydale. I knew it would come to me.
Far away from any more bloodsuckers and bad makeup.
Unfortunately, small problem, Sunnydale just so happened to be right on top of a hellmouth. where the boundary between Earth and Hell is permeable.
Yeah, that sounds like the Valley, all right. Along with new Watcher Giles, Wallflower Willow, part-time bad boy, part-time sad boy Angel, magical retcon sister Dawn, and Xander.
Yeah, Dawn was a retcon. She wasn't in, I believe, seasons 1 and 2, and I think she made her debut sometime late in season 3. And it was retcon that Buffy had a little sister, which I didn't really care for. And I'm kind of interested why they don't like Xander. I like Xander. Xander's cool. I thought Xander was a cool character. He and Willow got together for a little bit there before Willow became gay, and then he went on to go on and hook up with Charisma Carpenter's character. They'll probably get to that here in a minute.
Buffy and her Scooby gang would battle a never-ending series of monsters.
And we mean truly never-ending. Sure, there's the TV show, but Buffy has also been slaying vampires across video games, comics, and 128 novels. Tens of thousands of pages of Buffy lore you've never heard of.
But we're just crazy enough to speed read them all.
Buffy carries a variety of anti-vampire weaponry. There's wooden stakes, of course, sometimes dipped in gorgon venom that can turn you to stone. Though she's also experienced with axes, swords, quarterstaffs, holy water, just about anything.
You said it! When she fought an ancient demon unable to be killed by any weapon forged in his time, Buffy introduced his stupid ass to the 20th century.
She's also a master of Aikido, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, karate, kung fu, wushu, tai chi, kendo, capoeira, and taekwondo.
Buffy apparently thinks Hong Kong's kung fu movie masters could learn a thing or two.
No kidding. Thanks to her Slayer senses, her reflexes are fine-tuned enough to dodge close-range Gatling gun fire, lightning bolts from the sky, and even beams of light. She's kept up with another Slayer, Faith, who can dodge laser beams from point-blank range.
Buffy's strong enough to bend rebar, punch this 4.5-ton bat monster into the air, and, smash hard enough to tear apart a building.
And despite her lack of armor, she can survive massive explosions, like the one that destroyed Cephrilion's lair that's bigger on the inside.
She can even fight blindfolded, but if she is injured, she heals fast enough to be totally fine by the next episode.
One time, Angel sucked out almost all of the blood from her body, and she survived. Doubly impressive since Angel's blood draining also drains magical energy.
Yeah, Buffy's own magic makes her weirdly resilient to esoteric attacks, like when she expelled this misty shadow demon trying to possess her body, or when she resisted her soul being ripped apart and scattered across time.
Or that time she jumped into a vat of boiling liquid so hot it could reduce people to skeletons, and she was just fine.
She might not show physical scars, but she sure has emotional ones. Being the Slayer put a huge burden on Buffy's life.
Unable to live normally, she felt isolated, forced to internalize the trauma she faced on a daily basis. Sure, she had friends, but they couldn't understand her unique struggle.
Like when Angel turned evil after he took her virginity and tried to destroy the world. That must be one of those metaphors.
Sometimes the worst enemies are the ones you can't fight and who don't fight back.
Made even worse by her having all the memories of the other Slayers bouncing around in her head, dating back to the Stone Age.
Buffy has dreamt of every battle a Slayer has ever fought, and can call upon those skills in a fight, even subconsciously.
But this includes the memories of their deaths. Countless women violently dying young, a reminder of her inevitable fate.
A fate that came to pass when she fought the Hell God Glory. After leaping into Glory's reality-ending interdimensional hole,
A glory hole, if you will.
Buffy sacrificed herself
Glory hole. He is so funny. I like that guy.
to save the universe, dying a hero's death.
It appears my glory hole joke was poorly timed.
Finally freed of her unfair earthly responsibilities, Buffy's soul ascended to heaven in perfect bliss. Until her friends brought her back to life in the agony of existence! This absolutely crushed Buffy and, ironically, annihilated her will to live.
Oh, that's rough, Buffy. But with the show renewed for more seasons, she had to nut up and continue her endless crusade against all things Spirit Halloween.
Buffy's battled for 48 hours straight, defeated vampires immune to traditional vampiric weaknesses, and destroyed the Sword of Sano, which caused the Great Hanshin earthquake.
And of course, both Buffy and her friends have defeated countless immensely powerful demons.
Like the Queller Demon, which arrived as a meteor and caused the Tunguska explosion, which destroyed over 2,000 square kilometers of forest. Or the Sorrow Demon, which caused a storm that blanketed Los Angeles.
She's also a match for Angel, who survived a blast that could rupture a continental shelf, and took hits from Whistler, whose magic contained a bomb that could vaporize London.
She even faced off against the First Evil, literally the embodiment of all evil that predates reality itself.
Forced into battles against stronger and stronger baddies, Buffy clearly needed something to even the odds. The Slayer safe.
It's actually a Bardiche.
Yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna say it. This thing is bullshit.
Containing the essence of Buffy's Slayer powers and created to defeat ancient demons, the scythe can deflect magical projectiles and slice through just about anything. Ghosts, magic, even space itself, destabilizing reality in the process.
Even Silas, the devourer of worlds. Kinda like Galactus, but instead of chomping on planets, he eats the multiverse. And there goes his head.
The scythe is easily the most powerful tool in her arsenal. In effect, attaining it completed Buffy, as though it were a piece of her she never knew was missing. With the scythe, Buffy was finally whole. Being the Slayer was no longer a burden, but a purpose.
And by sharing her Slayer powers with thousands of girls around the world, they all teamed up and kicked the First Evil's ass.
Suddenly, the always isolated Buffy had thousands of shoulders to lean on, a sisterhood of...
By the way, that's when Buffy really got stupid. But at the same time, it is cool that she actually says, hey, let me go ahead and rely upon others as opposed to shouldering this burden myself. That is the opposite of being an absolute girl boss. By the way, I didn't know a whole bunch of this stuff. My knowledge of Buffy is limited only to what happened in the movie as well as what is happening in the television series. So I didn't read any of the books. I didn't read any of the comics. I'm gonna have to go in there and start doing that, because it seems like there's a whole bunch of stuff going on with this girl that I have missed out on. I really like Buffy. I am a huge Buffy fan. Every time this show came on, I had to just sit there and watch it. And then when Angel came on, I love Angel. I love all this stuff. You guys saw some of the special effects. It was campy, but it served its purpose. Buffy is a really good, complex character. You guys really should check her out. And oh, by the way, she is kind of cute too, right? She is cute. Both her and the Christy Swanson Buffy, they're both cute. Come on, you guys at least a 7.5, maybe 7.3 and 7.75. Come on, work with me on this. Buffy is cute.
Slayers.
And thousands more reasons for any wannabe demon conqueror to stay away from Earth. Because unless you want to get your blood all over her stylish yet affordable boots, you'll steer clear of Buffy, the Vampire Slayer. Hey, as you know, it's Skeletober.
You mean October?
No, stupid, it's the Skeletober Skelebration.
I don't get it.
Come on, don't you watch Death Battle Cast? And for the first time ever, we've got Skeletober merch on the Death Battle store.
Wait, isn't that just Skeletor?
Skeletober? Yeah.
We're just going to let them hawk their shit right here.
Stickers on everything.
Make sure you go to Death Battle and get your Skeletober shit.
Hell yeah, I'll take 7.
You can find all that and more, including our limited death mats that are selling pretty quick, at www.deathbattle.gg. That's www.deathbattle.gg.
Happy Skeletober!
All right, the combatants are set, and we've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for a live-action death battle!
See, they understand the assignment. They understand the assignment. I love this. I love this already. This is totally awesome. I love this. Let's go. And just before I go on again, the only downside is Dance Fiction is 5'2". So I wish they would have gotten a bigger guy to play Blade. But hey, you got to go with what you got to go with. Let's continue.
We were kings long before they had a name for kings. But now, starved, hunted, forgotten. You have waited long enough. Tonight, we remember who we were. Tonight, we take back what was always ours. Tonight, we feast.
Daywalker.
And she is just the start.
Man, we got Dance Fiction Blade before we got Disney Marvel Blade. What the fuck is going on? What timeline is this? This is awesome. I love this.
Dude's just a kid.
Not anymore. your damn mind?
Amateur hour.
There's always some motherfucker trying to ice skate uphill.
Another sword.
I see you cut through adamantium.
Bring it on.
Hell no! No! Hell no! No!
Ahead of yourself.
KO! To be Blade tenured no longer. I'm surprised. I figured with Blade's many years of comic book history, he'd have the edge.
Believe it or not, Buffy is actually in more comics than Blade.
Really? Man, Blade can't catch a break.
Let's break this down into 4 categories. First up, stats. Buffy's lifted much heavier things and survived more significant explosions.
Like, sure, Blade's strong and all, but he isn't literally fucking buildings apart like Buffy.
Scaling to the monsters they fought, compare Dracula creating a storm that covered Boston to the Sorrow Demon creating a storm that covered Los Angeles, a city over 5 times larger. You might be able to compare Blade to Spider-Man like Miles, who absorbed a bomb that could blow up Harlem, but that's significantly weaker than Whistler containing a blast that could wipe out London. They could both dodge light beams, but that doesn't keep Buffy from taking the overall edge in stats.
Blade's used to being the odd man out, though, so his versatility is just as important.
With Blade's numerous powers and massive arsenal, he certainly could have overwhelmed the more straightforward Buffy.
Machine guns and magic swords are generally gonna beat out crossbows and morning stars. Not to mention, he actually wears armor.
Also, Blade's faster healing factor and immunity to traditional vampire weaknesses kept Buffy on the back foot for a time. Blade wins versatility.
But when it comes comes to skill, Buffy's got plenty of experience fighting armed opponents barehanded.
Both of them were masters of a similar number of martial arts.
And Blade has been kicking vampire ass for a century, way longer than Buffy's even been alive.
While Blade may have more personal experience, Buffy's ability to draw on Slayer battles dating back to the Stone Age, at least 40 times older than Blade, gives her the superior skill. Even then, they both had weapons and abilities so powerful they could end the fight instantly, regardless of all else.
They're trump cards. Fortunately for Buffy, she actually countered almost all of what Blade could throw at her.
Withstanding Blade draining her energy with his bite? Check.
Resisting the Hellfire shotgun destroying her soul? Check.
Preventing Blade turning to mist and exploding her from the inside out? Check.
Meanwhile, Blade had no way to survive, say, Buffy's Gorgon venom turning him to stone.
And even with the deadly and just plain gross breathing gun, Blade did not have anything as potent as the Slayer Sight. It could easily deflect the breathing gun's bullets back at him, or use its space-cutting ability to slice through his unbreakable adamantium sword.
Don't believe us? Even Wolverine's adamantium skeleton was cut in half when a portal closed on top of him. That's the same kind of thing.
And Wolverine's beta adamantium skeleton is a much tougher version of the same metal.
Oh, and since the Scythe could kill Silas, a multiverse devouring god, I think it could take down Blade with a big enough swing.
Giving Buffy the final advantage over the Daywalker.
Really thought Blade had a chance, but Buffy sure put a damn fear on things.
The winner is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Next.
Man, I thought Blade would actually come out on top on this, but no. Based on the stats, we got to give it to the girl. We got to give it to Buffy. But man, I would just say this. This right here, I'm going to just call it right now. This is the Blade that we are due. This entire little action sequence that Death Battle had right here, I don't know the girl's name, but this right here, this is the best action movie I have seen all year. This is the best action movie I have seen all year. Props to Dance Fiction and whoever that girl was who was playing Buffy. I love this. This was just phenomenal. Goodness gracious, you gotta watch Death Battle. I'm gonna just link it in the description. You guys gotta watch this without my commentary. Congrats to Buffy coming in there and whooping Blade's ass. I normally I would sit there and argue just based on the fact that Blade has been around and he's a dude. He's got power and all that. But when you consider all the stats and all the things that Buffy has been through and the accessibility she has to so many different types of powers, we got to give it to Buffy. We got to give it to Buffy. I loved every minute of this. But those are my thoughts on the issue. What did you guys think about this Death Battle? Jump down in the comments and let me know what you think. And make sure you do like, share, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. And remember, this is Chris Boats signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy.